Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Power Is Now. My name is Eric Frazier. Thank you for joining me today. It's a beautiful night. It's Tuesday night, and it's time for another Homebuyer seminar. I want to thank all of those who tune in every week, really every other week, to participate in this seminar. It's a great opportunity to learn about what's going on in real estate and the financing that is available for first-time home buyers, move-up buyers, whatever your situation might be. Our goal is to educate you and to just keep you informed about the opportunities that are available right now to buy. And folks, there couldn't be a better opportunity right now than now to buy. Our interest rates are crazy low, especially for first-time home buyers. For anyone who has been in their home for a while and they've established some equity, now is the time to take advantage of that equity, maybe pull out some money and buy another property, or get into the stock market where you can find stocks available at discount prices right now. Just opportunity abounds. So tonight is a special night. Our guest is Carolyn Sunry, and she is a marketing director for Golden State Finance Authority. But Carolyn has taken ill, and so she is in our prayers. She will not be able to join us tonight, but we are rescheduling to have her come back on again. Now, this would be the second time that Carolyn's been on our show. And for those of you who would like to, hear from her, we certainly have her on our website. If you go to thepowersnow.com and look under radio guide, it's under media, you'll see our radio show, the magazine, and TV. You can see the actual radio guide, and inside that radio guide is a link to the radio interview as well as the TV interview for Carolyn Sunry, the marketing director for the Golden State Finance Authority. So we're going to talk about the program anyway today. It's called the Platinum Program. If you're thinking about buying a home and you don't have the money for down payment or closing costs, we have the solution for you, and we're going to talk about that tonight. And if you are looking to buy maybe your second home, I'm going to give you kind of an overview of where interest rates are. And if you're thinking about moving up, buying something in the $500,000, million and a half range, folks, there are not only opportunities to buy at very low cost, but there's even interest-only opportunities available for those of you who know that you'll be downsizing in the next 5 to 7 years. So why pay the most expensive payment there is, and that is a principal and interest payment? Why not just pay the interest for that period of time, ride the equity, sell, downsize like you plan to do, and keep it moving? Well, we're going to talk about that and much more tonight here on The Power Is Now Home Buyer Seminar. And I'm not alone. I've got some incredible agents with me today, and they're going to be contributing to the discussion on first-time home buyers, move-up buyers, and investors. Again, my name is Eric Frazier, and I'm the host of The Power Is Now. In addition to being a host, I'm also a vice president and mortgage advisor for First Bank. First Bank has been around for a long time, since 1910. They are a privately held bank by the Dearberg family. Now, my license number is 461807. I'm a mortgage advisor. The views and opinions that I express on this show are my own and do not necessarily represent that of First Bank. So let's get right to it, folks. I want to first introduce my special guests, and these guests are VIP agents. And as they turn on their videos, we're going to introduce them one at a time. If you're thinking about buying a home anywhere in California, we've got it covered here tonight. We have the agents, VIP agents, that are also part of other areas from Arizona and other places. But tonight we have California represented well. And so let's start first with Jarrell Washington. Jarrell, welcome to the VIP agent or the first-time homebuyer seminar.
Eric, thanks for having me.
So Jarrell, tell us what market area you're covering as an agent for Keller Williams, and why don't you provide your license and contact information so they can join you?
Sure. Well, my name is Jarrell Washington. I cover the central New Jersey area. Princeton, we call it the greater Princeton market. I cover from all the way out to the shore in all central New Jersey. I got team working in California and also Nevada, as you can see from my little logo in the back there. And my real estate license number is 0563286. I specialize in luxury homes as well as investment properties. So if you've got a unique property you need to sell, or a property that's been difficult to sell, I'm your guy and my team can help you out.
Thank you, Terrell. Next up is Jenny Gonzalez. Jenny, thank you for being here tonight on the Homebuyer Seminar.
Hi, Eric. Thank you for having me. I love these home buyer seminars. They're very educational. My name is Jenny Gonzalez with Keller Williams Corona. Sorry for the blurriness on the camera. I think there's a lighting issue. My license number is 01249788. My cell phone number is 951-316-0374. And I serve all of Southern California, mostly the Inland Empire. This is one of my favorite loan programs, so I'm really happy to be going over this with you.
Thank you, Jenny. I'm looking forward to the discussion as well. Next up is Kenny Sessions. And Kenny and I go back a ways. He probably does more first-time home buyer, no money down deals than anybody I know. Welcome, Kenny, to the show tonight.
Thanks for having me again on tonight, man. I appreciate it. When we're talking about home ownership, I'm always in the room. I need to be in that room because I actually, that's my passion, is really helping first-time home buyers and those that are underserved.
So, Lenny, if someone wants, Kenny, if someone wants to reach you in the Oakland area, please provide your contact information and your license number.
Yeah, well, my license number is 00966-569. That's my personal license. My corporate license is 01966-148. And you can reach me at my office, which is Session Real Estate in downtown Oakland, 510-568-4200, or you can message me on Facebook at Kenneth Foreclosure Session. That's foreclosure, FOCLSUR, foreclosure session. And I'll be more than happy to get back to you on my staff.
All right. Well, folks, there you have it. That's our panel so far, and we may have others joining us tonight to talk about this very important issue, and that is, home ownership. Especially right now, where people have been displaced because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Many people are concerned about the future. And in fact, I heard on the news the other day, just in Los Angeles County, about 49% of the population is employed. And so we're going to have some recovery work to do once we get through this. But with that also comes opportunity. Opportunity for people to buy, perhaps at prices a little lower than what they are now, due to the fact that we'll be heading into a recovery period. And part of that recovery means that things will go down, prices will drop. And what a perfect storm for prices to actually be even where they are right now, and with the potential of lowering and having interest rates below 3%. It's just unbelievable. I really can't believe that rates are as low as they are. And it's lower than they were before even the I would say the Great Depression. And certainly we've exceeded the records achieved with the Great Financial Crisis. So tonight I want to talk about, what's available in the marketplace before we get into the particulars of the program. Because I can tell you right now that if you have the credit score and you have the income, you may not have to worry about the money at all. There are agents on this platform that have already closed many transactions that did not require the buyer to have any money at all, outside of the initial monies needed for their earnest money deposit. So I'm going to ask our guests to talk a little bit about what's happening in their market areas, and the medium or average sales price. Get an idea of what may be available, whether you're in the Inland Empire in Corona, California, or Los Angeles, Nevada, or New Jersey, are down in Northern California, where Kenny covers just about the whole Bay Area. These agents have an idea, not just an idea, but they have their fingers on the pulse of the markets in those areas. So we're going to start ladies first. Jenny, in fact, we just did a market update a few days ago, folks, and you can find Jenny's market update on Blog Talk Radio and also on the Powers Now TV. Jenny, tell us what's happening in your market area. Give our listeners an idea of what they would pay and what that gets them.
Actually, today I got another market report. I know, you know how I am with my market reports.
Yes.
And last week we saw a little bit of an increase in price, and I think that was an adjustment from February. And we saw a slight dip this week from last week of about $3,000 on an average list price of $617 in Corona. Now that's a second home for most people. Our median price is normally in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. And it's very affordable here. I even have a listing in Corona. It's 3 units for $575. So it's still very affordable here.
Now, $575, I recall in our market update, you said there were about 10 listings in the 400,000 range, which I know is unusual for Corona.
Yeah, I had found 10 of them in the 400 to 450 range, and they were decent homes. Mm-hmm. You know, 3 and 4 bedroom homes, not just little 2-bedroom little places.
Now, for those of you who are familiar with our website, thepowersnow.com, on the homepage, you'll find a mortgage calculator. Actually, you can download it's a mortgage app, and you can do the calculations yourself based on the rates I will share with you in just a few minutes here about what you can do. What the payments would be to buy a $450,000 house in Corona, California. Anything else you want to share with us about the market in Corona, Jenny?
Actually, homes are like jumping off the market. As soon as they're on the market, at least the agents in my office, because we have daily meetings on Zoom, they're literally putting them on the market, and within a day or two, they're getting sometimes multiple offers on them.
So this is perhaps an indication of what we may see once all the states start to move away from this sheltered in place program that we have, and people can get back to work. There's a lot of pent up demand, and that may kind of the decrease in prices that many are anticipating. Kenny, tell us what's happening in your market area.
First of all, let me say hi to all of my viewers that are on my page watching. We have about 15 people in my watch party just viewing us tonight. So and we've been doing a lot of market update as well. What's happening here in the Bay Area is pretty much the same thing as what Jenny is saying. The market has not slowed down here. Some of the agents out there that are asleep, or if you will, on yesterday, we just had an approval. You gave me, what was it, Thursday for $400,000, and we got them in a property on Friday. And we just ratified that deal this morning at 410, and there were multiple offers there, but they were up against Kenny Sessions, so you know what that did. And then today we just wrote another one we just gave you for another guy. He's actually one of my club brothers. We're looking at putting him at a $400,000 property with no money on a water property with a waterfront property I found for him yesterday out in Bethel Island, because he has a boat and he wants to have his own dock and everything. So we got him going at about 400.
Now, Kenny, let me stop you for a moment here, because we're talking about Northern California, and you're putting people in properties in the 450,000 price range. I thought everything in Northern Cal was in the 700, 800,000 range. What are you talking about? You're on mute, Kenny. We lost your audio.
Okay, I'm sorry. I hit the button. We have affordable housing, but it's just like if you were talking about Los Angeles, there's not a lot of affordable housing in Los Angeles, but if you go to Palmdale, you go out to Moreno Valley, you go out to Corona in some cases, you can still do deals because the major metropolis is Los Angeles, where the prices get higher the closer you get to Los Angeles. Same thing here. The closer you get to San Francisco, Oakland, the higher the prices go. So the further you go out, the more opportunities exist. And I just ran into this development yesterday in Bethel Island. I've passed it many times, and I'd never been on Bethel Island till yesterday, and they had some pretty decent deals over there. And I think we're gonna make offers on 2 or 3 of them. I know he can only buy 1, but I'm gonna have 2 more if somebody else want to live on Bethel Island and with no money down. We're looking for more buyers for Bethel Island.
Now, Kenny, the 2 contracts that you just recently put under contracts, that is, these are first-time home buyers, and these are both no money down deals. And we're going to talk about, in fact, are those on the CalFHA or the Golden State program? I can't remember. I'm doing the loans, but I don't remember.
Well, we actually got about 4 or 5 right now, Eric. Let's call the truth. We're not going to be modest tonight. We got one that's closing out in Stockton. It should close before the end of the month. That is a Cal HFA loan.
Okay. Right.
We're doing 3.5%, 2%. What is it? Zip.
Yeah.
And the seller is giving him $8,000, and they're putting on a new roof. And that's the one we just raised up $5,000 because it appraised $5,000 over the purchase price. So to get that roof on, I had to raise the price by $5,000, and the seller is putting up $5,000, and the agent. The other agent is helping them put the roof up because he putting in like $1,500 toward the roof. And
wow,
boy, I ain't putting in nothing. I told him I'm a broke agent, man. I can't give away nothing. Right, so that's what's happening with that one. And then we have the one. Then we have another one I just gave you. That's closing, and we just closed everything else. But we have 2 more I brought you today. 3 more I brought you today, which they should be in. You give me approvals tomorrow, I'll have them in by the end of the weekend.
Okay, I'm gonna work on that. Now, Kenny, we're gonna come back to you because after Jarrell, I'm going to get into the Golden State program. And folks, you're gonna be amazed at what can happen with this Golden State product. And Kenny and I have some real scenarios, real testimonials about this. So this is not new to us. And I want you to know that it's not a gimmick, it's not a game. You really can buy a home today with no money down. You have to work with the right agent, a VIP agent like Kenny, Jeanette, Jenny, or Jarrell, and others on our VIP agent platform who understand down payment assistance, who know the business and can negotiate. And then you got to have the right product, either a CalFHA product or Golden State product. And that's just for California. So we are approved. First Bank is approved nationwide. We're in 49 states. We're not approved with every housing finance agency, but we're approved with a lot of them. And where we're not approved, well, we can work on that as well. But the opportunity to buy with no money down is real. Now, Kenny just talked about 400 to 450 price ranges now around Oakland, around San Francisco. Now, if you want to go to San Francisco, you want to go to Oakland, you're definitely looking at 700, 800, or $1 million. Let's see what's happening down here in Southern California. Jarrell, what's going on in the marketplace now? You can talk about New Jersey, Nevada, and also California because you're covering it all.
So I said we're doing our best. Thank you for that. Listen, let's talk about New Jersey first. New Jersey is a really hot market. We're basically a suburb of New York and Philadelphia, and right in the center of the state is where you find Princeton. So anywhere from Mercer County, Hunterdon, Somerset, Monmouth, Ocean, Atlantic County, and Burlington County, they're all hot markets. If the property is priced right and it is in good condition, I'm telling you, the properties don't last more than 30 to 45 days. So my average price point is anywhere between 450,000, like 650, 800,000 in that range, depending on which part of the state we're in. And those properties they flip and sell quickly. Our first-time home buyers are between 200 and 450,000. There are tons and tons and tons of properties that are available. We are actually still in a buyer's market. Properties are selling in less than 3.5 months. So it's been really strong. Buyers are really pushing well.
That's fantastic. So what about LA?
Well, Los Angeles market is new for me. I'm just getting down here, as you know, just a few weeks ago. And I will say that again, homes that are priced right and that are in good condition, they come off the market very quickly. Tons of offers. I just talked to an agent recently. I had 12 showings on the first day they opened the property. He had 12 showings and 2 offers.
Wow. Yeah. That's I think that's going to be commonplace as we improve. I was sharing the other day the number of deaths and with COVID-19, and now we're seeing in the news that states are kind of lifting some of the restrictions, and we're seeing that some areas have either they've peaked, and so things are starting to calm down. And so as things calm down, we'll see activity rise. And I don't know, Kenny, what do you think, man? Do you think we're looking at a boom before we see a potential a reset of prices?
No, we don't. All this is, I believe, is just people that are taking advantage of these low interest rates because they're not buying the price of the property, nor are they concerned about the value. We know that over a 10-year period of time, the values, whatever you lose in value, you'll make up in the long run. But we know that if you can get into a 2.75% fixed rate, like you got these 2 buyers I got in, you know, they cannot lose. They're paying for a property like it's almost, I think one of them was what we said, 282. They're really buying that house because of the interest rate like it's 182. So the idea is that they're buying 100,000 below market based on the way the payment is structured on that property. So even when it goes up, when the value goes back up, they're going to be paying a very low amount for a very expensive asset. So don't get screwed up by that, you guys. The market is going to fall. There are too many people not making mortgage payments. There's too many people that can't pay their rent. And the only way the government can make it up is by raising what it costs to do things, and that's usually interest rates. Interest rates have nowhere else to go. They're already down. We're talking about giving rebates at 2.75. That means we probably could get it at 2 if they would just give us the money at 2 and put it on the rate. So the deal is can you how far can you go down from 2? The only other way you can go is the other way. So I'm telling you, I'm trying to sound an alarm everywhere I know in our community, Eric, that you know, we always waiting for the opportunities, but we always wait until it's too late because you wait for somebody to come tell you that's the right time. And normally when you hear it, it's too late.
That's right.
You know, because everybody's in the game. Everybody that's watching me, and I got a bunch of people on my page right now. That's all I'm talking about is y'all don't get bamboozled right now. Don't look up the prices. Let's get in. I mean, look, everybody on here that said they selling houses. Now, have you bought one? I got plenty of buyers coming out of my ears right now. Those that are intelligent enough to not listen to what Mr. 45 is saying and doing, and they focus on what they need to do for them and themselves, they ain't got no problems, and they ain't gonna have no problems. In the next 10 years, they're gonna be paying $700 on $1 million house.
You know, I'd like to jump in here and add to something. Ken, you hit the nail on the head. I always tell people, no matter what's going on in the economy, people have to live somewhere. People have to move for life-changing, events, right? Death, marriage, divorce, empty nesters. Things happen in life, and you got to go. You get relocated, you lose a job, you get a promotion. Things are happening. So we have a new normal. We're doing things a little different now than we used to do, but people are still moving. Things are still happening. So if you're ready, if you have the cash, if you're ready to go, if your credit is good or you need some help, contact us and we'll get you help. Get you help. But don't wait. Waiting is the worst thing to do. You can't find interest rates and timing better than now. A lot of sellers are afraid, and you might have a good deal in your hands. You don't even know until you put the offer in. So don't hesitate. Let's keep going.
You're absolutely right, Jarrell. I'm going to ask Jenny to share a no money down story. In fact, I'm going to ask Kenny to do one as well. But I'm going to have you, Jenny, share the one you told me about just the other day, a no money down situation using down payment assistance. And then I'm going to get into the details of the Golden State program. And then I'm going to have Kenny share some real scenarios of using this particular product to get people in the home. So, Jenny, kick me off here with the no money down story. Take just a couple of minutes and break it down to us.
Sure. First of all, I want to say, with everything everybody is saying, what is the main thing here? The power is now, right? All we're
Absolutely.
saying is the power is now, right?
That's right.
The
That's
power
right.
is the time now. Okay, so I want to tell this story. It's one of my favorite stories. It's my most recent first time, no, it was a few months ago, my first time home buyer. Single lady. She wasn't quite 30, and she thought she was going to go FHA, having to bring in some money. She thought she was going to have to ask her parents for some closing costs. We went through this whole spiel. And then we came up with the Cal FHA program. She ended up paying off her credit card debt with the credits. She ended up being debt free and getting a couple $100 back at the close of escrow. And she came in with nothing.
Hmm.
And it's absolutely, I came back and saw what she did with the place. She's actually still contacting me now because we have some things to discuss. But she's absolutely happy with her payment because she was stressing so much about her payment because she's single and she doesn't have anybody else to rely on.
Right, right. You know, I'm glad you're bringing up she's single. We have helped, I don't know how many single mothers. I mean, Kitty and I got a story of a single mother who bought a 4-unit property. Now, it wasn't no money down, and maybe we'll save that one for later, but still, the fact that she on her own could buy a 4-unit property, that's another show, folks. We're gonna deal with that, but that's another show. But Jenny, thank you for sharing now that program that she's speaking about, folks. It's California Housing Finance Agency, and that program is really a fantastic program. They provide down payment assistance and closing cost assistance, but there's been some major changes that have significantly affected many people who were working towards utilizing down payment assistance with the state of California housing. It's called California Housing Finance Agency. Um, the maximum down payment that they will provide now is only $10,000, when before it was up to 3.5% of the purchase price, and that was a big blow, especially in high cost areas. And then on top of that, they raised their FICO score to 660, and that also impacted a lot of people. And so, as Jenny was saying, the power is now. And the reason why the power is now to buy, because tomorrow things may completely change. And with that said, let me get into the Golden State Finance Authority program. And this is just a wonderful program. And I am encouraging anyone who's thinking about buying a home, even if you have money, you may still meet the requirements to get money, to get the help you need to buy a home. So the Golden State Finance Authority has two programs, Open Door and the Platinum program. And tonight, we're just going to focus on the Platinum program. Now, the Golden State Finance Authority has been helping people for 6 years. They have put over 76,100 homeowners into homes, and that's over 543 million dollars in down payment assistance. And they have plenty of money available to continue to do this. I was concerned with the great financial crisis that they would go out of business because they've been around even before then. I was concerned with what's happening with the market, Wall Street, and with the whole economy, that both the California Cal FHA as well as Golden State might be affected. And it remains to be seen if they're going to be effective by this, by all that we're seeing right now and what's going on with the economy. But in my most recent conversation with Golden State, they are alive and well and strong as ever, and they are lending. So here are a couple of myths that exist about down payment assistance. And it's interesting that 70% of all United States adults are unaware of down payment assistance. 70%, that is a recent statistic. 70% of adults are unaware of down payment assistance. And I can, speak to this anecdotally because I do seminars at churches and nonprofits all over, up and down the state of California. And it is rare that I present this information and someone says, oh, I knew about this already. You know, it's rare. People just don't know. And that's why I appreciate agents who make it a core part of their business to talk about down payment assistance and promote it. And I don't know anybody in Northern California that is doing it online and live like Mr. Sessions is, and with the frequency and the consistency. And it's necessary that all agents get a clear understanding of these programs because you are working with people. You could actually expand your business by educating people about programs like this. So the first myth about down payment assistance in general, that it's only in certain areas, and that's simply not true. Or it's only for first-time home buyers, or it's only for low-income borrowers, which is not true. I mean, the income limits are very high. Or it's only for those who don't have any money, which is really not true. I mean, that's something that it makes sense that a person who's sitting with 20, 30, 50, $100,000 in the bank can't qualify for down payment assistance. Tell you a quick story. I have some young men who are buying their first home, and combined, they have close to $250,000 in the bank. Combined, they're three young men who are coming together to buy a home. And yet they're just great savers. They all qualify for down payment assistance. Now, they're choosing not to use it because they want the lowest possible rate. And that's the only difference between using down payment assistance and not using down payment assistance, is that one, you got to use your own money if you're not using it, and you're going to get a better rate because of that. But the way the rates are right now, and I'll share this with you in just a second, the difference is not that significant. The other myth is that it's only for people with exceptional credit. Now, I would say that your credit does have to be good now, but I remember when, Cal FHA, the minimum score was 640, now it's 660. And even for the Platinum program, it was 640, and now it is 660. So actually, no, it's still 640 right now, but many lenders, including First Bank, have credit overlays. And so even though down payment assistance requirements may be lower, that has to go through the bank and then ultimately to the agency providing the funding. And so the bank credit overlays are in play. 660 is what the score needs to be. Another myth about down payment assistance is that it has to be repaid. In some cases, it does. The difference between the Cal FHA and the Golden State program is just that. One doesn't have to be paid and the other does. Another myth is that all down payment assistance accrues interest, or that it only works for FHA. The program we're going to talk about tonight works for both FHA and conventional loans. And then the last two here is that it's just harder to qualify. And I will admit that over the last few months here, the increases in the FICO score requirements have made it more difficult for a lot of first-time home buyers to qualify. But the burden is on you to do what you have to do to increase your FICO score. And there are a number of things you can do to improve your score literally within 30 to 60 days. And then the biggest myth of them all, I think, and this is what perhaps some sellers out there might be reluctant to accept offers from people who are getting down payment assistance, and they shouldn't, because these loans, and I have agents here, I have one particular agent, Kenny here, can testify that down payment assistance loans do not take any longer than any other loan. And the other thing is that they're actually, in many cases, make it just much easier to get more qualified buyers to buy your home. So sellers need to be educated about the truth that it's not the buyer longer, it's going to actually be easier. So let me get into some of the particulars of the program. For FHA, the down payment assistance is 5%, up to 5%. And let me tell you what that rate is. At 3.625% interest rate. Let me say that again, 3.625. That's the interest rate. And the Golden State Fund will provide you 5% of the purchase price. Now, the maximum loan amount is 510,400. So you can't go beyond that. So if you find a home at the 500,000 range, then the 5% is $25,000. And that is at an interest rate of 3.625 today. And that's 5% of the purchase price. Your FICO score on the program can be as low as 640, but unfortunately, just about every bank out there has increased their FICO score requirements due to COVID-19. And so the minimum score is now 660 to get in the program. The debt ratio requirement is 45, meaning that your total expenses, your house payment, including all your other debts, and by the way, we don't count things that are not reported on your credit report. So we're not counting the gym membership, the babysitting fees, or the gas, or the utilities. We're just counting credit card debt, student loans, car payments, that kind of thing. So the maximum your debt to income ratio can be is 45%. Now, get this, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer. And that is perhaps the biggest game changer for those in the down payment assistance space, because most down payment assistance programs provided by counties, by cities, or even the state of California do require that you must be a first-time home buyer. So what is a first-time home buyer? A first-time home buyer is a person who hasn't owned a home in the last 3 years, right? That's what a first-time home buyer is. And so doesn't mean you've never owned a home. It just means you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. Another thing is that the program is available throughout all of California. So all of California, be Northern California, Southern California. This is not city driven or county driven. This is completely state driven. And that is a tremendous benefit to anyone looking to buy in maybe a more affordable area. You, like Kenny has been doing, he's been moving people who want to live in Oakland or San Francisco, but realize they got to go to Pittsburgh or Antioch or Stockton or maybe even Sacramento. Now, this 5% is a loan, all right? It is a loan. And another great thing about this, contrary to a lot of down payment assistance programs, is that the interest rate on the loan is zero interest, and that's for 3 years. After 3 years, the loan is completely forgiven. And this to me makes this one of the premier down payment assistance programs on the planet. I mean, to be able to get the money and then only stay there for 3 years and then it's forgiven is really unbelievable to me. Now, let's say you don't stay there for 3 years. Say that maybe your job is making you relocate to another state and now you've got to sell. Well, they were prorated. So if you stay there for 2 years, then all you have to pay back is 1/3. Or if you stay there for a year, all you have to pay back 2/3 of it. So the amount is prorated. After the 3rd year, on the 37th month you've been in that house, there is no debt owed on this money. $25,000. That's a lot of money to be just given away just because you want to own a home. And to me, that's really incredible. Now, it gets even better than that. If you are law enforcement and are any part of the support law enforcement, if you are a firefighter, or the support staff or firefighter, if you are a paramedic or EMT, a teacher, a school administrator, or both on staff, public or private school, you are then eligible for what we call the Platinum Select. I think it's probably one of the best programs of down payment assistance out there. All of them have their pros and cons, and for me right now, the 660 FICO score is a headwind. There's a headwind for sure for many people who are in that 640 to 660 range. You got to be at 660 in order to take advantage of FHA. Now, if you're looking for a conventional loan, one of the advantages of doing a conventional loan is that the mortgage insurance is much less. See, with FHA, you have that 1.75% upfront mortgage insurance, and then you have the annual mortgage insurance of 0.85. With conventional loans, the mortgage insurance is significantly less, and there's no upfront mortgage insurance. And on top of that, once your property gets to 78%, almost 80, 78% of the loan to value, either through a reduction in the principal, through payments, or through appreciation over time, you can request for the lender to remove the mortgage insurance. And you can't do that with FHA, at least not at this time. FHA mortgage insurance is forever. So to give you an idea of what the rate would be on a conventional loan at 3.875%, the rate is slightly higher. The down payment assistance is 5%. 5%. Now you can actually get a lower rate. The rate can be as low as 2.75, or I say 2.75 on FHA with down payment assistance of 2%, or 3.25 with down payment assistance of 3% for conventional. So that 3 to 5% is a lot of money that can make the difference between anyone being able to buy a home or not buy a home. Now, on top of that, the seller is able to contribute to your closing costs. So this money, the 5%, may not be enough, and most cases won't be enough to cover everything. And so if you're working with an agent that can negotiate, then the seller credit can be from as little as 3% to as high as 6%. Rarely do we have to go that high, but somewhere between the 2 to 4% range, a seller credit, the buyer can get in literally with no money down whatsoever. This is the Golden State Finance Program, folks, and it is one of the best programs on the market. And I'm going to now open up the floor for questions. For those of you who are on Facebook and you have any questions, please type your questions in our chat room. Our other agents are in there watching. They'll share those questions and they can even answer it with you. So I'm going to transition now to Kenny. Kenny, man, I've just laid out the guidelines. And for some who are listening, they might think, okay, well, sounds good, but is it true? You are living these guidelines right now. Give us a couple of stories here, man.
Well, Eric, thank you very much. This program, when you first told me about a program that was very similar to this in 2016, if you recall, we did it on my TV show, the In Session Real Estate TV show. And at that time, as you recall, I was just getting back into the business, opening up my office and bringing my shows back. And if you recall, we shot that show in 2016, and it was called Sapphire back then. We've been doing some form of this program for the last probably 5 or 6 years. We just jump on the next one. And as you know, that show that we did, we played it last week. And it was, and all the information pretty much is still pertinent, with the exception is that you have to have now our 660, where we were doing these deals at 620 back then. And when we did the first one that I did at 620, that's one of the ladies that goes way, way back to 2016. You remember that, Eric? She was living in a Victorian rental in West Oakland that was being sold for $500,000. This woman had 8 children. She was a single mother, and she only qualified for $210,000 or something like that, Eric, as I recall. And I remember riding up to Stockton with her, and we found her a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage in Stockton for $207,000 in 2016. That was 4 years ago, Eric. That same property right now, she paid no money down and no closing costs, and she got her deposit back at the close of escrow. All the inspections paid, roof clearance, termite clearance, and I almost threw in the yard man coming to cut the yard too. But we got him, that lady in his house, and right now, that same house is worth $400,000.
Wow.
This young sister, and she was only she's not that old, but I think her husband had passed. We've had a couple of those where the husbands have passed, and God has just blessed me to be able to bless them. That was the one that happened in 2016. She bought that property for $207,000 with not a dime out of pocket. And right now, that property is worth at least $414,000. I can sell it right now for a $200,000 profit. And let's go all the way up to last month. Last month, we did one that was almost the same. We used the Cal HFA program. We got her a 3.5% grant for her down payment. We got her 2% for the zip down closing costs. We had the seller put up $10,000 for closing costs. The property appraised for $455,000. This young lady who really didn't even know she could get into a home 5 minutes before she met me. And she met me on a fluke. She was at a friend of mine's job. I mean, she's actually one of my friend's supervisors. And they were out in the parking lot watching a live that I was doing at a house. I was selling right around the corner from the house that she ultimately bought. And I think you did that one too. That was for Trina Peterson. She was doing the one for Trina Peterson. I was doing a live on Trina Peterson's house. This was like first part of January. And we were walking through the house, showing Trina's house, and Trina was out there all emotional. And so the girl was at her job, and she saw that live and turned her on to us. I'll make a shorter story. Eric got this lady approved within 48 hours. I told him how special it was. This woman had 5 children. Not only did she have 5 children, but her husband had passed about a year and a half ago. The husband passed in the apartment that they live in right now. They were living in that apartment that her husband and the baby's father passed away in the bathroom. So if you could imagine, every time somebody goes to brush their teeth or wash or do whatever, all of these emotions could come up. So it was real special to me. We got that lady in that house, Eric, and originally you told her payment was going to be $3,100. I think we qualified her at a 4.25% interest rate, because that's where it was when we started. The rates dropped all the way down. We ended up getting that lady in that house for 3.25 fixed for 30 years. Her payment is less than what she was paying for rent. I think she was renting a house for $2,900, a 2-bedroom apartment for $2,900, and she bought this 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage for $2,800. So she bought a house, and then she got her deposit back. And when she moved out of the apartment, she got her deposit back from that. And she didn't have to pay the rent, because when she moved in the apartment, she got social services to put up her first, last, and security deposit. So when she moved out, she cleaned the apartment out. She didn't have to pay the last month's rent, and she got her security deposit back. She made money buying the house.
I love it, Kenny. I mean, just in those 2 examples, if you're watching right now or listening, don't you want to build wealth? By providing, this type of financing, Kenny, you're able to help stabilize families. This particular family, move them out of a very sad, depressing situation. And then on top of that, position them to build wealth. You did with the first example, going from 200, no money down, to 400,000. The average net worth for people is in the negative. I mean, if you don't own real estate, then what you do own is depreciating daily. It just is, I mean, because it's not a real asset. It's personal property. It's a car. It's jewelry. It's stuff that has no real value. Then add to that your credit card debt or any school loan debt. You have a negative net worth. When you own real estate, in a short period of time, you have an actual net worth, and we should measure our growth by our net worth and not by our income, because income can go up and down, income can change, but real estate is forever. And although real estate can increase and decrease in value over time, over the long run, it always is in favor of the owner. He who owns the property is going to win in the end. He who is renting the property is going to always lose. And that's what you're doing, Kenny. You're taking people from being renters and building equity for someone else to being owners, and allowing them to build equity and wealth for themselves.
That's an exciting thing for me, man. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else gets excited, but I just thank God. Let me give him all the honor and all the praise today that he has taught me how to do this, that I can use my talents to help my community. And bro, I'm just humbled that I've been given this opportunity, man. Sometimes I have to pinch myself. I come back and have done some things. People say, man, you did all of that. What you talking about? God has just been good to me, man. And I just want to give him all the praise today, because I know without him, these people would never have found me. And I would have never been able to show up and show off for the Lord Jesus Christ like I do every day.
Well, Kenny, thank you for sharing that, because it's important that we always recognize from whom our blessings flow. Jarrell had a great question. Jarrell, why don't you go ahead and share your questions about the program as it relates to veterans?
So I always say that when people are, no matter where you live, you are paying a mortgage. It just might not be yours, right?
That's right. That's
Everyone
right.
lives in somebody's place. You're paying somebody's mortgage. It's not yours. And to hear that story of what Kenny just said, man, there's no reason why you should just be sitting back. You really need to get onto the VIP program, check out one of the agents in your area, and find out how these programs can help you. Because what Kenny just said was he just changed two people's lives in such a way that had they not met him, their lives would be so much different when the economy is going up and down. Now they've got a place to stay, some security, some equity, and they're pivoted for the future. Absolutely great. So having said that, going to my question, I wanted to ask you, the program that you mentioned, does that cover any other state, or is that only a California program? Number one. And then number two, how can the vets leverage these programs, and what VA programs might you have?
Okay, those are two fantastic questions. Thank you so much for asking. So let me address the first question. So the program we're talking about tonight, and for those of you who are watching in other states, the Golden State Finance Authority and the California Housing Finance Agency, these are both California-only programs, and there's no limit where you can buy anywhere in California. So you got to be in California. Come to the Gold Coast. They say that all roads lead to California. No. Now, outside of that,
And that's one of the reasons why I'm here, back home in California, where's that?
That's right. Now, outside of that, just about every single state has a housing finance agency or a community development program. And with those come down payment assistance, and it varies from state to state. And so I know of just about, I would say I'm familiar with about 30 different state down payment assistance programs. Now, First Bank is licensed to originate loans in about 49 states. And so it's obviously difficult to manage all the constantly changing guidelines that are happening even right now as we speak from housing finance agencies from state to state. So I want you to reach out to me if you are in another state and you are looking for down payment assistance. Please contact me and I can give you some direction. I can help you I can provide you some assistance. Now, nonprofit organizations, there are nonprofit organizations that are just that, nonprofit. They're not tied to any particular state agency. Nonprofits are very easy to work with, very easy to work with. So for example, if you wanted to buy a home using down payment assistance from a nonprofit and you are in, say, Alabama, it would be far easier for First Bank or any bank for that matter to work with a nonprofit. The approval process is very quick and very easy. But to work with the state of Alabama, they may make us jump through quite a few hoops to get pre-approved, and it's not the time to be getting approved with any state agency right now, given what all banks are going through with just overwhelming volume of people refinancing and putting a great deal of stress on our human resources to be able to fulfill those requirements. Now, we and most banks make financing a home a priority. Here at First Bank, it is an absolute priority. We are still closing loans in 30 days, no problem whatsoever, sometimes even faster than that. But when it comes to down payment assistance outside of the state of California, I would say buyer beware as the state's ability or inability to approve if as a lender we're not already approved to participate in their down payment assistance program. So don't worry about it though. I want you to reach out to me. Let me do the heavy lifting here, the footwork, and to determine what's available for you in your particular state. If you're watching, no matter where you're watching, there's only one state we don't live in, and that is Baltimore, believe it or not. I don't know why. What's wrong with Baltimore, But everywhere else we can lend, and hopefully we'll be able to lend there soon in the future. You never know, right? I don't make those decisions. Now, the other question in regard to veterans, and Jarrell, I know you are a veteran. You served in the Navy.
I
Thank you
am. Yeah.
for your service, and I'm glad you asked that question. Uh, the programs that we're talking about tonight, the Golden State Finance Authority, as well as the California Housing Finance Authority, and we didn't get into much detail with that. We'll cover that on another night. But on the Golden State Finance Agency, that 5% down payment can be available, is available for a veteran, whether they are doing a FHA, USDA, or VA program, that 5% is available. So think about that for a moment. Normally, a veteran would have to get seller credit or some type of lender credit to help cover all the costs. So, VA is zero down payment, but that doesn't mean zero closing costs, right? And so in many raise the interest rate to try to finance the cost themselves through a lender credit, or the agent has to negotiate with the seller to try to get some assistance in covering the remaining of the closing costs. Well, what's so great about using the Golden State Finance Authority is that 5% may be enough money where the veteran doesn't need any help whatsoever from the seller. And in some markets, that's a necessity. Some markets is so low that lenders or that the sellers are just not budging on price. In fact, we may be headed in that direction if just things really take off once we get past this COVID-19 economic shutdown and the shelter in place policies. We may see a run to purchase. In fact, I know anecdotally, I'm seeing an increase in my applications every day. I can blame Kenny for that, of people trying to get pre-approved for home loans. I mean, so I think that once this thing is just settled, we could be looking at a little mini boom. And that may mean sellers are not going to budge on price. And so if you're a veteran, oh my goodness, 5%, man. Now, 5%, that's 25 grand on 500,000, right? Who's going to do that? And on top of that, you can still get seller credit if it's out there, if it's available, and you don't have to take the 5%. That's at the highest rate. You can maybe only need 3%. Well, now you're looking at a much lower interest rate, maybe 3.25 or 3.375. I mean, rates are crazy. Now, on this note too, I just want to say for those of you who are veterans and you don't need down payment assistance, right? In fact, it might behoove you to work with a VIP agent who is a serious negotiator to negotiate the seller to help with closing costs. Because if you can,
Oh, me.
there you go. If you can do that, hear me, folks. Rates right now, FHA, VA, 2.75%. Can you believe that? Right? That's what rates are. Of course, you got to look at the APR, and that will depend on the loan amount and other terms and other factors. But I can tell you here, that's just an unbelievable rate. I have been in this business for 38 years straight, nonstop. I have never, ever seen a 2.75 30-year fixed rate on any mortgage. This can't last forever. Am I right, Jenny?
You're right.
No, it can't. It can't. It's got to go up, you guys. You better wake up and smell it.
You know, they say
I can tell you what, in my market,
right now, the next fixed time is tomorrow.
I know in our market up here that sellers actually will accept a veteran's offer, even if it's a little bit lower, versus a conventional offer. But that's what I'm seeing where I'm at, because they are very respectful of what veterans have gone through and what we have come to light with, and we're finally acknowledging these veterans, that we're getting them in those houses.
Let me say this, Eric. I'm a veteran too, and I started my career at Veteran Housing Center of El Cerrito, and I've helped probably 1,000 vets over my years. But what she just said, I've never seen happen, where somebody gonna take less money because somebody's a veteran. Normally that green talk, and I got one I'm doing right now, and most of the time it's about the highest offer. So. And the VA deals are great deals. And normally when it's a buyer's market, we can tear them up, you guys. recognize because, you know, I've been doing these deals for 33 years. I've been doing VA no-nos for 30 years, 34 years. I came into the business doing that. And that's why I do FHA no-nos and all the no-nos I do now, because I've been doing them no money down and no closing costs for my entire career.
Yeah.
It didn't just start with this market.
Yeah. Well, you know, Kenny, I think that in a seller's market where inventory is low, certain that you're right that sellers just seem green. But to Jenny's point, there are people who sellers that are veterans themselves may have a heart, you know, to support another veteran and getting in, especially too, I mean, we for those of us who own our homes, we know what's reasonable, right? We know. I mean, we bought the house at for $100, and now it's worth $1 million. I mean, you know it's reasonable, and where you have an opportunity to help somebody.
Yeah, fighting over pennies for a veteran.
Yeah. But at the same time, though, we do recognize that going beyond, the desire to help someone, like they say in the airplane, in the airline industry, when you're running into turbulence or the plane might be going down, you got to put a mask over yourself first, and then you try to help somebody else. And so I think the same thing applies here. The sellers are going to try to maximize their value because that money is going to roll into another property in which they're trying to get the lowest payment possible. Or maybe they're trying to accumulate as much cash, liquidating their assets so they can have a decent retirement and not run out of money. And so it's not always about the seller being heartless or inconsiderate or not appreciating the buyer for whatever their life experience is, but that this is simply business, and we all want to get paid. We all want to get it done. We all want to get the most we can out of our investments. But Jarrell, so thank you for asking that question. And I would think since a veteran gets 100% financing from day one, right? Just out the gate, they get 100% financing. You would think that they would line up to take advantage of down payment assistance like this on a program. But the reality is that very few veterans are taking advantage of the VA loan.
Right.
It's such a low percentage. I think it's around 2.5, less than 3% of veterans are taking advantage of the VA home loan, and that is an absolute.
A lot of veterans think that they can only use it one time in life. So many of them are waiting until they're getting into their retirement years to then use it. So there are a lot of myths that surround it. I think there's a lot of bad information or just lack of information that flows to our veterans. I think as realtors, in the industry, we can probably do a better job. And that's why I love this platform. We'll be able to kind of leverage it and use it and make the videos and share them, with people, from the VIP program out to our audience to let them know that you can use a VA loan 5 times. You can only just use it one time at a time in sequence, right? But you can only, you can use it today, sell your house in 2 years, 3 years. You can use it again. You can use it again. In that pattern, and people don't know that exists. So I think a lot of times, people think they've got to use this program or that program and not really understand what options are available to them.
Well, thank you again for bringing up the VA participant, because they should participate in this program. And you're right, there's a lot of misinformation, and realtors and lending professionals have a responsibility to educate. And you're right again, this is why I love this platform, folks. For those of you who are listening on Blog Talk Radio or the podcast, please share the link. You may know somebody who's thinking about buying a home, and they just don't even know that help like this exists. For those of you who are on Facebook right now, please share the link. I know you know somebody. We all know somebody who is renting, right? And talking to them for years. I have buyers who have been fooling around for years. I mean, I may have done 4 or 5 pre-approvals that have expired and they still haven't bought. Now is the time, folks, to buy. It really is. Now, we have one other VIP agent that has come on. His name is Amir. Amir, can you turn your video on? You're ready to participate here tonight. And just tell us what's going on. Amir brings a unique skill. He's a housing counselor as well as a real estate professional. Amir, what's happening, man?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for inviting me. I am chock full of Zoom meetings this week, and so this is like my fourth one of the day. So please, I apologize. You know what? What we've been talking about on our side with Neighborhood Partnership Housing Services. So we're a HUD-approved counseling agency, and what we're seeing right now is, and you may have covered this before, so I apologize, but this is kind of the new, almost my new mantra, is we're seeing a flood of calls for people who are getting confused about this forbearance deal. And of course, like a lot of people, they're looking on the internet and they're looking at social media, and folks are not always getting the correct information. So I think if you ask me, besides my regular business, what it is that we're really focusing on is making sure that people have the ability to understand what forbearance is versus repayment plan versus modification, and what the consequences are of all of these. And so our calls to our office are starting to increase. And the overall message right now is if there's any way possible that you can make your payment, keep making your payment. And so we know that, the CARES Act listed forbearance there, but forbearance simply means a pause in your current situation in terms of the payments, but at some point you're going to be asked to pay all of those payments. If you receive a forbearance, and it's not up to the government to do that, it's actually up to your mortgage servicer. So we've been making sure that we're getting that message out and hopefully making it clear to let folks know that at some point, the forbearance doesn't mean that you get to skip payments and not make them at this point. So that's been our real point of clarity. We've seen our calls probably go up by 70 or 80% in the last month or so, with folks actually, trying to get information in that.
Amir, thank you for sharing that. And we need to do a show about your company, your organization. State the name again of the organization.
So it's Neighborhood Partnership Housing Services, and we're located in Rancho Cucamonga. We're part of the NeighborWorks network, and it's very interesting because I was on a call, I think yesterday, and I was talking about the fact that I started out with Neighborhood Housing Services in LA. And so, and then I left there and went to a company called NeighborWorks of America. So this whole housing counseling piece is kind of where I've spent the majority of my last 20 years. And even when I was, selling real estate full time, I was still going back and volunteering for the nonprofits to teach the first-time homebuyers classes and workshops. So we're a HUD-approved agency that basically helps people, and of course during the last mortgage crisis, we were on the front lines of counseling and helping people connect to their mortgage servicers.
Now, Amir, for those who are, having difficulty making their mortgage payments right now, what is your recommendation as a HUD-approved counseling agency? What is their first step in addressing this issue? Should they contact their loan servicer first, or contact an agency to get clarity as to what their options are?
Well, we are advising people at this point to contact your servicer to understand what it is that they're going to be offering. Every servicer is different, and that is really the key. So through our calls, frankly, some of our staff as well, so some of the banks are actually sending out letters with the offer, so they don't even have to wait. So when this thing first got passed, some of the major banks basically got ahead of it and said, hey, here's what we're offering, which is how we found out that these things were not kind of the pie in the sky that folks were really looking for. So it basically is giving you the option to discontinue payments. And then at some point down the line, whether it's 90, 120 days, they're going to ask you for all of those payments to be made up at once. So to answer your question, go to your mortgage servicer to find out what their policy is. And on that same note, one of the things that we're talking about, and I won't get way into the weeds on this, but every mortgage loan that's done in America is bound by a pooling and servicing agreement that tells people exactly what could be done in the event of a crisis with the actual borrower. And so that's going to govern what happens to these mortgages. And so, you know, it's kind of it's made me put on my other hat because I spent so much time in loan servicing as well.
Amir, thank you so much for sharing this information. And why don't you take a moment here and provide us with a telephone number and email address if for those who have questions and they want to talk to you as, you know, an independent, neutral party HUD counseling agency to prepare them for that conversation that they may have with their servicer.
Sure. And Eric, I apologize again. I always forget my license number. So my name is Amir Elahi. My license number is 01313-504. And my cell phone number is area code 626-625-0099. That's 626-625-0099. And our organization is Neighborhood Partnership Housing Services. So we'd be happy to talk to folks about it, you know, about how to get them assistance.
Thank you so much, Amir. Amir is a VIP agent, folks. Right here on The Power Is Now. Go to thepowerisnow.com and look under the menu bar. Right there in the menu, you'll see VIP agents, folks, from Arizona, New Jersey, to San Francisco and Oakland. We have agents and we're gaining more. In fact, if you're looking to be on our platform, reach out to me. We're looking for agents who love buyers, who want to help buyers get into homes, and for listing agents who are going to be, you know, very supportive of buyers and their offers, especially first-time home buyers and veteran buyers. And, you know, we're all about empowering people to build wealth right here on The Power Is Now. This has been a great show, and I appreciate all of my VIP agents who have joined me tonight. Amir, you brought another piece that I wasn't even expecting to discuss tonight. And it is definitely the catalyst for a completely separate show because
Sure.
we want you to buy a home. We want everyone to buy a home and take advantage of the opportunities that exist. Why? Because interest rates are low. The opportunity exists now. Down payment assistance money is available. But you also need to understand what it takes to keep that home. And HUD-approved counseling agencies, I'm on the board of directors of the Riverside Fair Housing Council of Riverside County. Fair Housing Council, Riverside County, and they provide homeownership education, home buyer classes, and they help people stay in their homes and equip them to become homeowners. And there are other associations like what Amir is involved in across the United States that educate and inform potential home buyers on what it takes to be a homeowner and what it takes to stay in home ownership. And so I appreciate Amir sharing that information because many people have lost their jobs. Many people have lost their businesses. Many people are being impacted by this COVID-19 and are struggling to make their payments. And the banks are following the rules. They have to. And banks are taking the initiative and reaching out to their existing clients who loans they're servicing. And so I just pray that we will all get through this with minimal impact and loss because cooperation. I would say too, as a mortgage banking professional for 38 years, the number one rule is communicate, communicate, communicate. And with all else fails, communicate.
Communicate.
Communicate. That is everything, folks. If you want to stay ahead of it, if you want to stay ahead of your challenge. Now, we are at the end of the show, and I'm going to give each of my VIP agents a word. Keep it short, folks. We're at the end of the show. Final comment for our guests, encouragement to those who are watching tonight. The power is now to buy. We're going to start with Kenny Sessions, holding it down in Oakland, California, the biggest no money down man I know. Kenny, what's your final comments? Keep it brief now.
All right. Well, what I would say is don't wait to buy. The market is good right now. Interest rates are low as they ever been. You definitely can buy now. And trust me, while you're sitting at home thinking about whether you can, there are people out there doing it right now. Multiple offers still going down.
Outstanding. Jarrell.
Thank you. So again, thanks for having me on today, Eric. I really appreciate the program and the platform. Listen, if you're looking to buy a home, invest a home, sell a home, refinance a home in New Jersey, California, or Vegas, the Vegas area, Nevada, Vegas, definitely give me a contact. My number is 609-933-9044. We look to help everyone, whether you're buying a $100,000 property or $8 million home. We're here to serve you.
Outstanding. Thank you, Jarrell. And next up, Jenny Gonzalez.
This is Jenny Gonzalez, and I am happy to be on this program, and 100% financing is the way to go. If you have a job, if you have the credit, and you have the means and the power, as we all do, power is now to act so that later on you're not regretting not acting.
Thank you for that, Jenny. I love how you squeeze in there, the power is now. The power is now. Amir, final comments for our show today.
Man, I want to know how much you're paying Jenny, and I could throw in a couple more for you. But the actuality is that I think that with rates being as low as they are, I think that there are going to be some people that will be driven into the market, putting their properties on the market. So, the timing is now. We haven't had this kind of perfect storm in a long time, and storm is not necessarily a bad thing. So I think there are a lot of great things. There's a lot of great opportunity out there. So we'd love to be able to assist you.
Well, there you have it, folks. Amir has the final word. If you are thinking about buying or selling real estate, then you really need to consider a VIP agent, folks. They are the best of the best, and I am so happy to be associated with them all here on The Power Is Now. My name is Eric Frazier, and I'm the host of The Power Is Now. Please go to thepowerisnow.com, become a member for free. Membership is free. In fact, like us on Facebook and get notifications when we're live on Facebook. Check out all of our shows on our Power Is Now TV, powerisnowtv.com, or our Power Is Now YouTube channel. You can find us anywhere just about on social media. And if you're listening to us on any podcast, wherever you get your podcast, subscribe to The Power Is Now, where you can listen to other great programming all about real estate and learn from the best out there, real estate professionals who are not just talking about it, who are not retired from doing it, who are in the game right now, in the game, making it happen. Well, remember, folks, we are at our best, and we maximize our success when we act now. The power really is now to buy. Have a great evening. Talk to you soon, right here on The Power Is Now.